This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. I'm here at Flat Rate Real Estate. Since 2014, this full-service real estate brokerage has provided efficiency in the marketplace, not only for those selling, but also for the brokers who have clients out there who are buying your home. I am here with Berkleigh, who is the owner, founder. Let's start off a little bit about yourself, Berkleigh. I mean, really for yourself, this is more than a business. This is a passion. This is a passion for real estate. I mean, a passion so big that it really pointed you into a whole new direction in your professional life. Share with me a little bit how someone who has an education background in chemistry, biology, how do you end up here in real estate?
You know, my parents and I had said the same thing. It was not planned at all. And so after finishing, I wanted to be a cosmetic surgeon. That's what I was doing it for. And in the end, you know, I realized that I wanted freedom. I wanted freedom to be able to create your own destiny, make as much money as you'd like, really get out there, be able to meet people, not be set to anyone's schedule, and you can do it anywhere. And so it wasn't really that I planned real estate. It was that I knew I didn't want to be a surgeon all of a sudden. And then what? And I got lucky enough that I had a gentleman come into where I was working at the bank and said, "You'd be perfect for this. I'll pay for you to get your license."
That is fantastic. It's a great story. Let me ask you this. This is a company that you founded in 2014 here in our beautiful state of Colorado. What better place to get started here than Denver? I mean, the market's booming, yet real estate market, it's always changing. The laws are changing, the rules, the regulations. Why is it more important today that people have a professional in their corner, even more so than 20 years ago?
You know, I would say it's because exactly like you said, even in the beginning, I actually have to remind my brokers every single year when you have to do a continuing update course, and it's 4 hours and it changes. I mean, the forms that you need, the things to make sure, you know, your sellers and clients don't get sued. I mean, if you're going to watch out for yourself as a seller, how would you know to watch out for yourself in that way? And I tell my brokers, I try to get them to, you know, they are independent contractors at the end of the day. But I do try and get them to do those right in the beginning of the year so that we can look like professionals. We know what we're doing. We know the updates. And then we can really make sure our clients are getting that same information being passed on each year.
That is impressive. I mean, after all, a real estate transaction is probably the biggest transaction most of us will go through in a lifetime. Let's start off, first of all, before we talk about the business model of how you do real estate, let's talk about the typical approach, the commission approach, something that we're all more familiar with, and maybe an approach that is not best suited for every home out there. Tell me about it.
So the traditional approach, this is actually, brought this business idea. It was me and another founder. Now it's just myself. And a brilliant attorney, Emilio DeSimone, came to me and he said, you know, I want to do flat rate with you. And I said, okay, well, let's talk about it. And he said, I've approached a lot of people and they weren't willing to. They're not willing to take less commission. But really hear me out on this about value and what you can provide to people, and what are you really doing for this full traditional amount? What are you truly doing to get some of these, you know, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 commissions for listing? On the buy side, it's a little different, a little bit more work involved. So with the traditional approach, you're looking at typical of about 6%, and so you got 3.2% to the listing agent and 2.8% to the buyer's agent. Okay. And so, like I always use this example. At a $400,000 home, you're looking the 2.8 for the buyer's agent, that is always going to be there. There are some companies that have tried, but I think, you know, there's a lot, I mean, just about the entire industry, exactly. Industry-wide, we've kind of put the kibosh on that. I think that it just hasn't worked out on the buy side, and those people do a lot of work. They're driving people around, seeing homes. I think it's well worth it, and that's one thing that I really want to be. I want any agent that works with us to know they're going to get their full commission if they bring someone to see one of our listings.
We were able to purchase a house at a really good price when the market was down, and so we really hit the jackpot with that. She was on top of everything. We saw so many homes. She was just very responsive and helpful through the whole process, and it was a breeze. Fast forward 6 years later, we have 3 more kids. We've outgrown that house, and then she called us out of the blue and was like, I remember, when we were first looking at homes, you really had your eyes on these type of houses, but, our budget wasn't there at the time. And she was like, I know a family who wants to sell their house, and I think it's perfect for you. Do you want to come take a look at it? And I was like, wow, what realtor does that? Keeps you in mind so many years later. I didn't have to contact her. She had me in mind. And I liked the idea of it, but I had nowhere to start. I was like, well, I have this house now. How much is that house? But she had already, done the research and pulled the comps. And she's like, well, I've already done the research. We can sell your house for this amount of price. And the market had gone up, and we had doubled our equity. And so she had already presented us with the numbers, and we're like, yeah, let's go take a look at it. And I fell in love with it, and it all worked out.
Let me ask you this, with a flat rate, this has to be kind of a breath of fresh air for people who are selling, because quite honestly, it's an upfront rate. You know what it's going to be, very transparent. Do people seem to like the approach once they understand how it's set up like that?
Yes, because that was the other side of it. So with that $400,000 home, I come in and that seller right then is ready and willing, and they're just they want to negotiate with you. They're ready to go. And as soon as, and they're, and you tell them this is a flat rate company. So that $12,800 is the 3.2% that $400,000 home would be for a listing. Our flat rate at that, we have brackets, but our flat rate at that bracket is $2,500. So we're saving those sellers $10,300 on their listing. And when I say that, wow is always the response that I get. A wow and a smile. There's no more negotiation. Now we can talk about actually selling your home and getting the home listed and, all of that, all the details, rather than negotiation for my commission.
Wonderful. You're spending your time really, this isn't about a discount. This is about a full service brokerage.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about you going out from square one, pretty much giving them everything they would get elsewise, but with a whole different business model. Full service, is that important that people understand that on the front end?
It really is, because I think that that's one of the things is a lot of the agents out there that are traditional. I have a lot of friends that are traditional. They say you get what you pay for. And my actually take on that is you're actually paying for what you get. When it comes down to what we're really truly doing here, the amount of time out of our day it takes to do a listing, I would say from the traditional approach, it's that we are doing a full service on this side. I've told people when I was a traditional agent, not flat rate, I'm doing the same job. I'm just charging a rate that I feel like is, I think is valuable to my clients, and I still feel like I'm getting fair pay.
Right from the get-go on our first purchase, I was just really impressed with everything. We had saved so much money with the listing of our house in order to buy this house, and it was just financially feasible. We saved so much money that we were able to put down on the purchase of this house, and it's just you really need somebody that knows what they're doing, that knows the market, and what you can get for your house, what your budget is, and all that. And yeah,
she just came in and she told us, don't worry about the price, just work with her, and she meant every word of it.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of those steps, some of the pieces of the puzzle when it comes to full service. Someone decides they want to sell their house. Obviously, the first thing that an agent brings is really the professional. They are not emotionally involved in this property, yet somebody else might have a hard time putting the correct price on it. Is this the first step you're able to help people a little bit decide what's the best price to put it on so it moves quick enough, yet at the best price?
If they'll let you. I said if they'll let you. So yes, I'd say that with that, we always come out with that first. You have to know your marketplace, and you have to educate your client about their marketplace. They're thinking Bob's house down the street sold for $1 million, and their house might have not a finished basement, and they only have 2 bedrooms or something along these lines. And you have to just sit down, and I don't like to show up with comps as other agents do. I like to actually sit down and pull the comps and show them how I do it, what criteria I'm putting in, actually let them see those results populate and let them see it right there on the map for themselves. Now you don't have that they think that you're trying to persuade or kind of push towards anything. And you see like right here, and it is a statistical fact that if you list it right the first time, or maybe even a little bit lower in our market now, you might have even multiple buyers coming in for a bidding war. But you overlist and you're going to sit on the market possibly even a couple of weeks and really miss that nice first 2 weekends that are the most important, I think, in the selling process.
So really for you, it's more about educating the person in front of you. They get to see it right there. And they pretty much almost draw the conclusion the same way you would have, which makes more sense. Once we got the price set on the house, we're now ready to go out and market this home. I mean, gone are the days of just simply putting this in an MLS and calling it a day. You are able to utilize full technology, not only MLS listing, but we're talking about also sites like Zillow across all the IDX websites. Tell us a little bit about that.
I'm glad you brought that up. So that actually, because of that technology, is why the flat rates are possible. Because back in the day, you know, when we used to have an MLS book. Now, that's before my day. I think there'd be some older realtors that would be looking at me like, I don't think she knows about that. I've heard about it. But, you know, in those days when you're having to go down and list it in the post and you're having to flip through the books and you're having to do these things without the automation, without the Zillows, our MLS right now syndicates out to Zillow and to Trulia automatically, and over 100 other sites automatically. That right there takes so much time out of our day that is exactly why we're able to still charge these flat rates, and it works out well for everybody. So I'm really glad you touched on that, because they're still getting all of these marketing because everything is so automated these days.
And obviously, days gone by were pretty labor intensive. And so like you say, the value has changed, yet the business model really hasn't changed, and now that is changing. Once we decide we've got it marketed out there, we get our first offer in. As a professional, are you there and available for them when it comes to negotiating, talking to them about pieces of the contract that they may not understand in that offer?
You know, yeah, absolutely. So all the way through. And this is how I've actually trained my associate brokers as well. Anyone that I've been a mentor to, myself personally, what I really think is important is that these people, because this is also, you got to think about, not only are they stressed out, this is, like you said, it's a stressful time. They're moving. They've got all these moving pieces. They don't know, and they need you to be that grounding force. They need to be able to rely on you so they can set it, and forget it, kind of. And so I like to have my clients actually become, I'd like to say, in a lot of ways, like friends. And so I tell them, you know what, even if it's 9 o'clock at night and you're sitting there and you're biting your nails over something that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't ask that. Shoot us a text message. If we see it, we'll text you back. You know, like, we want to be right there for you. And I think it's important. I think letting people know, hey, oh, no, only call me between, you know, the hours of 8 and 6, and otherwise I'm not available to you, I think doesn't give people the comfortable approach that they really would like to have. And how would you want someone to treat you? Truly.
I think the industry overall, not just real estate, but overall, we're expecting that more. We're expecting to basically be accessible out there to folks as well.
I would definitely say go with someone that does their research, somebody that will work with families, and somebody that will basically go with you every time you have some kind of a hunch or anything about a house. And she met us, 72 different houses the first time. No matter what we came up with, she was there. So she's reliable.
I would definitely recommend somebody like Berkleigh who has done the research and knows the different laws and everything, because there were things that would come up that I hadn't even thought of, like, you know, during inspections and, you know, the loan proposals and all that. So it was good to be prepared, so when roadblocks come your way, you're not stuck and things just like go backwards. So yeah, that was really helpful.
Once the folks are out there, and there's hundreds of things that a real estate person does behind the scenes. I mean, that is definitely for sure, all the way from the contract, taking photos, possibly giving them some advice on stage in their home, but ultimately at the closing table and getting that home sold. Is that a part of it that you really enjoy, seeing it all come together?
It is. That's really the best. And I mean, we really do. We walk from, like you've touched on a few, like, from just like in any traditional brokerage, we're going to pull the comps. We're going to make sure we price it right. We're going to get it out there looking professional. We have, for as far as the photos go, we just have marketing that are a la carte items. So that way, if you have a $300,000 home that's going to sell in a matter of minutes, you don't need flyers. You don't need the drone flyovers. You don't need the professional photos even. But if they want them, we have them in an a la carte menu where they can pick and choose what's best for their listing. And of course, we help with that and guiding instructions for the staging. Staging is available if they'd like to purchase it as well. And if it's a nice larger home, and they're saving so much. Like I mentioned on the $400,000 home, they're saving $10,000. There is a lot to play with for whatever they'd like to choose. And
It's more customizable for them to decide what they want to do and where they want to use that dollar at.
Yes.
Obviously, the flat rate is beneficial. You can see the benefits to the people that are selling these homes, but really you make it even beneficial to the agents that are selling, that are basically have buyers out there that are looking for these homes. How do you provide favorable conditions for those agents as well?
Well, included in every single one of our listings is a showing service. And so that way they're not waiting on me, they're not waiting on the seller. And this is another reason sellers a lot of times try and take on selling their home themselves. Now, especially if you have something highly sought after, you're going to be fielding a ton of calls. And that is where we set a showing service, and any agent that has a buyer that'd like to see the home, those showing services confirm that agent really is a real estate agent, so you don't have a random stranger walking through your home, or you don't have to run home in the middle of the day and open your home for someone. Maybe you can't get away from work. And so that showing service is really a vital part, and I think so helpful, not only to buyers, agents, but if a for sale by owner, they won't have that benefit. That's why you need to hire an agent right there. That's on the sell side.
You're not only making the home attractive to buyers out there, but really you're making homes that you list more attractive to the agents themselves because of, if for me, I would be looking for, through my inventory and kind of pulling yours forward because of the fact that favorable conditions are made possible.
Yeah, and we do it all the way through, and with both sides, I like to work with the other side, and like you said, it has to be non-emotional. You see a lot of agents, and I think they lose sight of the fact that this is a business, and if we can work together positively, we're going to get a lot further, farther, and faster, and hopefully to that closing that everyone's looking for. And so I think that that's really what we're after, but absolutely, we help through the negotiations, and really being skilled at that helps not only your client, but a lot of, right now in Denver, we have around 40,000 real estate agents. And that, not in Denver, that's in Colorado. And that wasn't that way when we started. When we had this real estate boom, a lot of people thought, let's get those licenses. So these days, people like myself that's been in the business for 10 years, we're dealing with a lot of agents that maybe haven't had those negotiations under their belt. And I think being skilled at negotiating, and you might even be helping out that buyer's agent and that buyer in turn, just from having the knowledge.
Excellent. Obviously, you were looking for something that provided freedom out there, a way really to help other people, really provide something that you felt was a value that was very important and yet very fair. Has this been rewarding for you?
It has. It really has. I have, and we're going to interview here in a little while. We're going to bring in Mia and Michael Lemire. I hope Michael can make it. But those are a couple that they have just seen. It's been so rewarding because I got to call them up and tell them exactly how much equity they had made from buying at the time when they did, first-time home buyers. And I got to call them up and I got to show them their dream house that was the end house that they're in now that they really wanted, and to watch them close on it. They've called me back and said, thank you so much. And it's really rewarding. Yeah.
That is wonderful. Viewers, let's take a look at the screen right there. What you're going to see is her contact information. The website is right there. This is a company that began back in 2014. Really, quite honestly, a great service, something that takes the traditional business model and really provides value to people out there who are selling their homes. Like she said, there is really a lot of money that can be saved on the back end when you know up front exactly what the fee is going to be to the person who is selling for you. Touch on a little bit. I mean, always we've spoken about selling out there, representing. What about those folks that are buying? Is that something you touch on as well?
Absolutely. So full service, buyer and seller. And actually on the buy side, buyers do not pay the commissions. It's always stacked into the listing. But for our buyers, we offer a flat rate buyer rebate of $500 to each buyer that purchases with us. So typically that'll cover either maybe they have to pay for an appraisal or some home inspections. And so those home inspections is what we can help cover with those little rebate, help them out a little bit.
Very much so. This was a company that was founded here in Colorado, yet we are expanding. Tell us.
Yes. So we're excited this year. We're going to be expanding, and we're finishing getting the licensing in California and Arizona for 2018. And so soon we're going to be able to help with those transitions. There's a lot of people coming back and forth between here and California, a lot, and Arizona as well. Phoenix has one of the largest growing markets in the United States. And so we'll be helping people for those transitions, listing and selling and buying in those states as well.
Check out their website. Easy to contact them right there as well. They've got a Facebook page also. Also, they do represent those out there who are actually buying as well. We touched heavily on the selling side here because that really is beneficial as far as the model that was provided here for you. That is the Flat Rate Real Estate located here in Denver, Colorado. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.